Hello, everyone. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about today is that I don't think there's ever been a really good film version of Jack the Ripper. Like, for example, the From Hell movie is okay, but at the same time, it's somewhat like a comic book because it was based on a graphic novel, and it purports a theory that is not what that I would not consider to be plausible. I think that's the problem with a lot of Jack the Ripper movies is that they have theories where the murderer is someone who likely it wasn't, and like they usually have the theory that the person who committed the murders was of royal descent, that it was a prince, or that he had syphilis and had a child with a prostitute, and therefore the royal doctor was sent to silence the prostitutes. But that's really just a conspiracy theory. There's no real evidence for it. And so I don't think there's ever been a truly like more accurate telling of Jack the Ripper. Of course, I don't think a movie has to be 100% accurate, but it would be nice to have a version where the killer is someone who could conceivably be the killer, or it leaves it open-ended. Um, like I hope to someday uh, write a book about Jack the Ripper, where I will try, and this isn't something that I just might write. I am going to write it if I ever get the chance, because I've always been fascinated by Jack the Ripper ever since I was younger. I don't know why. It's just it's always been a story that's fascinated me, and I've always wanted to explore it in a book. The reason I haven't done it yet, though, is because it would require a lot of research, and because I would be writing about real people, not just fictitious people. And of course, this book is, I think, one of the definitive editions on it, The Complete History of Jack the Ripper, um, The Charm of History, well written about a character of almost mythical standing by Philip Sir Sudgeon. I haven't read all of this book, I'll admit, but by many it's considered to be the definitive edition, and I would definitely read this if I were ever to write a book about Jack the Ripper. And it might get more clout too, because since it's about a known character, I might get more sales that way. But the reason I haven't done it is because it would require a lot of research. But I know a lot about the um, the story, the five murders of like I can name the five victims of Polly Nichols, Anne Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Kelly. Those are considered to be the five official murders. The Some people believe he may have committed more, but those are generally considered the five. You have Polly Nichols and Anne Chapman, or Annie Chapman, who were killed on separate occasions. You have Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes, who were supposedly killed on the same night. Elizabeth Stride with her throat was just cut, but then nothing else happened. I mean, the Ripper apparently didn't have time to finish the job, and therefore, on the same night, he killed Catherine Eddowes. So that's why it's considered the double event. And then, of course, you have the last killing of Mary Kelly, which that supposedly happened in a private apartment building. So the Ripper was really able to do his work to where when the police found her, she was essentially without a face. And horrific. I mean, there are photos of it. Even though they're in black and white, I still want to puke looking at them. And the mystery is really profound. I mean, if I get a chance to ask God some questions someday, one of the questions will be, who is Jack the Ripper? Because I would really like to know the answer to it. But I would try to make it, if I were writing it, I would try to make it um, a killer who is actually plausible. So it would likely be someone who was either in what worked in Whitechapel, lived in Whitechapel, or near it, and was probably someone who did not have a lot of distinguishing features. He wouldn't have looked like this. Someone like that would have stood out like a sore thumb. He likely would not have been an outsider from somewhere else. He likely would have been someone who worked in uh, Whitechapel, the Whitechapel district, or near it. And and to me, that can still be interesting. I don't think you need fanciful theories to make the Ripper case interesting. I think it is interesting entirely on its own accord. And of course, you have people like, I can't remember his first name, I might be getting this wrong, Aaron Kaminsky and Charles Cross and a bunch of other people who are far more likely. Kaminsky, and I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. I need to look at it again, but or whatever. Um, in fact, I almost certainly am. But the that guy, his DNA was found on one of the shrouds of one of the victims a few years ago. So some people thought, well, it must be him. But of course, being a prostitute, he could have been. It may not necessarily be him. And then they have Charles Cross, who found the body of the first murder victim, but then he kind of disappeared and tried to evade the police. And you have a bunch of people who are more likely to be the killer than the royal family, so to speak. And to me, I think it would just be far more interesting to go in that direction, and or perhaps even leave the book open-ended. But this is a book that I do intend to write someday. I just haven't gotten around to it at this point, and I don't think there's really been a good film version of the Ripper case, because they always try to be conspiratorial and fanciful instead of just doing a faithful retelling of the events, which is what I think needs to happen.